The player is always the main focus of the fit, to give the player the desired shot they're looking for and what they can play best. And that's what it's all about, fitting, is to optimize the player in front of you so he can shoot lower scores.
So we're going to just have a little discussion about launch direction today. Lawrence, how does that, when you're doing fittings with the top players, one of the things we look at launch direction. What is it? And what are we looking for?
Well, basically, launch direction is where the ball starts from target, left or right or straight to the target, and it's measured horizontally. But basically, it's the starting position of the golf ball flight.
Okay, so that gets into the fitting side of it. As a player, what are you looking for in launch direction?
So it depends on the curve I want to hit. For me, for example, when I hit a draw, I always wanted to start right and probably also end right of the target. In best case, be right on the line. And for a fade, I wanted to start left and curve to the flag as a maximum.
Okay, so we've got kind of both directions here. We've got a fitter here and a player here. So we're going to kind of work in what the player's going to usually has a nice interview with the fitter, and then the fitter's going to decide, okay, we got to figure out the launch direction by watching your swing, telling us what kind of swing you want to see, what kind of ball flight you want to see. So tell us a little bit about that process, Lawrence.
Well, it's basically the first question you're going to ask the top player is pretty much, what's your stock shot? What's your go-to shot? Do you want to hit the high cut? Do you want to hit the lower ball, higher ball? Do you want to shape the shot? And that will definitely help the process, understanding what the player is trying to achieve, where he feels most at ease. And launch direction definitely has an influence on that decision-making, whether or not the player should be playing that shot.
And that comes from the player talking to you, telling him what he's looking for.
Player interview is the R&O of fitting. You get so much information out of those first 10 minutes. Then you know where you want to go to, what you're trying to achieve.
Okay. And you spent some time with Lawrence in the past, yeah? And doing all that and then kind of explaining to him what you're looking for. And
Yeah, I think I started working with Lawrence on clubs when I was 13, so a couple of years back.
How old are you now?
I'm 20 now.
Ah.
So he probably knew what shot I wanted to hit over the time, and that helped find the right clubs for me and also being able to understand what affects the ball flight.
Okay. So when you're doing the fitting with Carl, you know, what kind of factor is the shaft? Is it the head? Is it what kind of factors are you looking for to get that right start or launch direction correct?
Well, for me, as I always say, there's nothing new in golf. And the golf shaping of the ball is all to do with the face angle at impact of the iron, be it closed, square, open, never changes. People talk about shafts, but really it's all about the face angle at impact. And that will definitely help the player achieve his desired shot he's trying to hit.
Okay, and so that kind of relates back to you then. So you kind of tell them what you're looking for and what we're trying to do, and then you kind of say, well, this is what I'm trying to do, and trying to mirror them both together to get them to work together. There's a lot of talk about club path. Does that influence? That's for a lot of people out there, I think that's probably the biggest influencer on where the ball's going to start.
Yeah, well, the club path is basically only 25% for the irons, 15% for the drivers. So again, the face angle at impact is the master here.
Is the master.
If you don't get that right, it doesn't matter what club path you use.
I think you and I have been professionals for a long time now, Lawrence. And I think back in the day, we always talked about how club path was the most important thing.
Yeah.
That influenced everything and the club face. But nowadays with TrackMan, it's just the opposite of that. The club face is most important. So, saying that now, does it depend on what head you have, or how steep of an angle it is coming in? What kind of factors that you have to look at with the swings to get that starting on the right direction, does lie become a big part of that? Does what are some of the things that come?
Definitely lie is the main factor on face angular impact, but we mustn't ever lose sight of the fact that the head is king. Not so much the shaft, more the head. In certain heads, very hard to work, very forgiving, but you're not going to be able to control that face angle for your launch direction as you would with other heads.
As we say from Titleist, the first thing with our fitting philosophy, the first thing we do is find the
right head.
Find the right head, and then we can do it. Yeah, and you guys went through that process with Lawrence there, trying to find the right heads.
Exactly, and also what we were looking at during that time is also trying to find out where I miss my shots on the club face and then adjust the weighting of the head, for example, so that my problem is always a toe hit, so that the toe hit doesn't start too far offline, which leads us back to starting direction.
Yeah. Okay. Is that with your irons or with your driver?
It's probably every club.
Every club.
Yeah, slightly too far to the toe, but due to fitting, we worked it out quite well, and I'm able to even hit great shots with slightly toe strike.
Okay. All right. And Lawrence, you come old school, but new school is TrackMan data and stuff like. What kind is it? Are you looking more at TrackMan data, or are you looking more at the old school of ball flight and
ball flight? And that's the whole point of a launch direction. It's what it's all about. Is ball flight will never ever be in second place. I believe the TrackMan has been a major game changer for fitters, like you say, as old pros, we were told about club path. But to be honest with you, it's more of a tool, an assistant tool, but the ball flight is the A&O of fitting. If you get the ball flight right, everything else must be right.
Yeah.
And are you using a lot of TrackMan data, or are you out playing more, watching ball flight?
So for me, it's mostly watching the spin rate in the fitting when I try out shafts or heads, but then it's probably only working together with the fitter and looking at the ball flight, trying to also feel that that's the right club that I'm using, and then having the feedback of the fitter that it's the perfect fit for me. That's what makes me confident in the club choice.
When Lawrence changes the, let's say, lie angle on the golf club, does he tell you? Can you feel it? Can you see the difference in launch direction?
So when the hands get low, which affects the lie angle, or when the club is too far upright for me, I'll definitely start it further left. So there's a big influence on the starting direction. And he used to give me clubs and not tell me, but I was able to feel it quite fast. So that's how we also find the right lie angle for my clubs, because it has such a big influence on the launch direction, basically.
And that makes it much easier for you if you know what you're doing. And then, you're lucky enough you get this guy here who's been doing it for a long time, and he's one of the best here in Europe for sure. We're extremely lucky to have him. Lawrence, we talk about sometimes one of the big things that you look at a lot is what we call swing plane. Explain kind of swing plane and why you use that.
Swing plane is one of the parts that TrackMan brought out that really, for the better player, will make those small increments will actually help the player massively. So the swing plane is very, very misunderstood. What we're trying to achieve with the swing plane, it will actually help you determine, is the lie that you're giving, that you're seeing from the ball flight, is it correct? Or is there something missing? And generally speaking, the miss is due to the swing plane. If, like Carl says, low hands, you'll have a low swing plane. High hands, you'll have a high swing plane. And that affects the lie of the club, irrespective of the club path.
Okay. Does that so then you have to, with the path, then you have to adjust that lie a little bit, don't you?
That's right.
To get the right swing plane.
Used to be that if somebody came inside, they must be flat. And if they came out to in, they must be upright. But that's not the case. The case is the swing plane would determine which lie angle that person requires.
So if when you have a better player like Carl, professional, and he says, "Well, I need the ball to start on this direction," is that you kind of go, "Well, maybe he's 2 degrees flat, but he's looking for this." Would you change something to change that launch direction to make it for what he wants to see, and not worry about the TrackMan numbers, not worry about that?
Definitely 100%. The player is always the main focus of the fit, to give the player the desired shot they're looking for and what they can play best. And that's what it's all about, fitting, is to optimize the player in front of you so he can shoot lower scores.
I think that's what we're quite lucky to have this guy, because I think there's a lot of what I see a lot is there's a lot of mentality in there that I'm the fitter, I know what I'm doing, this is what you need, this is what you've got to have, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And I think that the old school approach of making sure the player is taken care of.
Yeah, I think especially also looking at the lie angle, some of the old school approaches can be very helpful. For example, as a player, I'll probably feel the right lie angle quite fast, and then Lawrence or another fitter can also look at the divot, because that's where you probably see a big difference when having different lie angles, how the club goes through the ground.
Yeah, and then you can see the different directions where it's starting out, and kind of ball never lies.
Yeah, exactly. The ball never lies, and that's why we have different types of balls, obviously, particularly the Pro V1 or X and the Pro V1 X left dash, is that if somebody is a high swing player and they've got the launch direction they don't want too much curvature. They want a controlled curvature. And it's what the game's all about, controlling the golf ball.
So that launch direction, if we get the launch direction right, we get everything right. But at the end of the day, the ball is wrong, and the ball is spinning too much, or the ball's not spinning enough. So if you're hitting a fade and you're getting way too much spin on it, or if you're hitting a draw and you're getting way too little a spin. So the ball becomes quite a big factor in that. So we've got to know what the ball is. What kind of ball do you play?
I'm playing the normal Pro V1, and I've been playing it for many years now. So for me, I always try to have this launch direction as straight as possible with my normal shape. I usually hit a slight draw, and then I just try to be able to hit a small curve with a fairly straight starting direction, and the Pro V1 helps me with it definitely, just because it's so consistent in spin rate and also height, so I know what's going to happen.
Control it a little bit more.
Exactly.
Did you try have you done the testing on the new 25 Pro V1, Pro V1X?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
cool.
It helped me with it as well, just because the new Pro V1 has slightly higher spin rate, which helps me have an even more stable ball flight, especially in the wind, because that's where I have to have a high variability in launch direction.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to play with side wind, for example, and that's where the new ball helps me even more than the one before.
Cool.
Because the spin rate is more stable and even more consistent.
Probably the biggest factor in all the stuff is it becomes the ball at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if we got the right clubs, right? If the ball's wrong, it's not going to work. Yeah. So saying that, we're talking about the like fades and draws. Using TrackMan, this is where it's going to be a little bit hard, or using a launch monitor, is you start hitting fades. So what do you do with the fade to change your launch direction?
So it's definitely a matter of attack angle and club path and variation. So I personally look at the swing direction quite a lot, because it's like a combination of attack angle and club path.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as we said, face angle has a huge impact on it. So for me as a draw player, I mainly hit fades with setup changes.
Mm-hmm.
Place the ball a little further on the left.
Okay.
Stand a little bit more open, and then just try to swing the way my feet are aligned. So that helps me hit more of a tiny cut, I would say, rather than hitting a fade from a normal setup. That's the way I hit a fade shot.
And I think that kind of transitions to this relationship that you two have, because very often you'll see someone behind you, and all of a sudden you've changed your position to hit a fade now, and they're looking at their numbers on launch monitor going, oh no, what just happened? He just changed this and this. So explaining that to Lawrence and the relationship and that, how does that relationship work for you?
Well, it's all about bridge building, getting to know the players, knowing their swing. Being a golf professional certainly helps understanding the golf swing. That's a huge advantage as a fitter. If you're a really, really top player or an ex-PGA pro, you know how the swing fundamental works. And knowing that certainly is an upper hand. But again, it goes back to what are you trying to achieve with that player? What sort of shot does he want to hit? And maybe one number might be slightly out with a Trapman, but as long as we're getting the results, it's more of a guideline for me. As long as that ball flight is doing exactly what I want it to do.
Old school guys.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say old guys, but old school guys.
Old?
Well, you're old,
Guys
but
would be a fair comment.
no, that's all right. Yeah, you're pretty old, but yeah, using that relationship that you guys had for the last 7 years,
Yeah.
and hopefully that relationship continues. You've got to trust him; he's got to trust you. Doing all that. We talked about the golf ball, but for fittings, you're at some premier places and things like that where you practice. Lawrence gets to be there with you. Being able to test a Pro V1 on the driving range, how important is that? So let's start with Lawrence on that. There's the.
I mean, we would all love to live in the ideal world, wouldn't we?
Yes, sir. Always.
The end of the day, launch monitors will always just tell you what that particular golf ball has done. If you're not hitting a good golf ball, then the numbers or the information you're getting is not really helping you at all. So fitting with range balls, particularly, I call it liquid all sorts. Some have got dimples, some haven't. Why did the ball do this? Well, there's no dimples on it, So in an ideal world, we always want to fit our performing clubs, and to get the best out of the player, you've got to know what the golf ball is going to do.
You got to know.
The way of doing that is with proper Pro V1 and Pro V1X golf balls.
And if we know what that player needs or what that player plays, we can test that. We're Titleist. We make a lot of golf balls. We got some fitting centers in Germany that allow us to do that, that we're able to do that, take that fitting to the next level. Because we'll talk about all the time how bad range balls are, and the start direction might be great, but without dimples, it's flying all over the place. Yeah. So you can't really doing what that's going on. So Lawrence doing the fitting with Pro V1s, how does that make you feel? How does that, when you're getting fit and you know a Pro V1 is what you're testing, how can you translate that to the playing field?
So as you guys said, it's the most important thing basically to look at the ball flight. TrackMan data is nice to have the perfect fit, but at the end of the day, the ball flight is everything that matters. So for me personally, I try to hit as many shots in the fitting with the Pro V1 as possible. And then the next point is that I'm lucky to have the trust of you guys to being able to take the club out on the course and then being able to hit even more shots with Pro V1s, which then helps me finding the right fit as well.
That's brilliant. I think that you're only going to go farther with both of you guys and the relationship you have, the communication that you make to each other, the way we can do things, the products that we have. It only seems to work in that combination extremely well. But again, what we always talk about, Lawrence, is communication. Is you talking to him, he talking to you, making sure we're getting the right statistics that we want to see. We've got the new RCT ball that we can do stuff indoors, which works extremely well. We can get it set. But again, old school guys, what do we want to see? Ball flight. Yeah. At the end of the day, and I think players are the same way. We can get caught up in all this, on a lot of numbers and things like that, but then they want to see how the ball is flying. Controlling that. Well, let's just finish up real quick. Controlling launch direction. So Lawrence has done all the fitting and everything like that. We've got the right strike, we've got the right line, everything like that. Controlling that on the golf course. You can do it all day long on an indoor, pretty easy, but doing it outdoor, when you start getting the wind and all that, having the trust in Lawrence that he set the club up right, that you can do all the different kinds of shots, taking that to the golf course on a Sunday afternoon on the back nine. You know, we always talk about that. It's great that it works on Thursday, but that's not where we want it. We want it to work on Sunday, you know, and having the trust in him, taking that to the golf course, understanding the wind and all that. What kind of goes through your mind when you're sitting there playing, going, okay, I've got to do this. I want to hit a fade. I want to hit a draw. What do you?
So for me, it's just preparation, basically. I know that my clubs are perfect for me, and that it won't be a matter of the clubs, basically, or the ball. And then it's just up to me, basically, having practiced all different lies, slopes, and then it's just being able to perform the way I practiced, and that's what matters.
How many times a year will you see Lawrence?
So whenever he comes to St. Leon, basically, with you guys, it's probably a couple times a year, definitely. And then what's also important for me to have that feeling of being prepared on the clubs and balls is just checking the lie and loft regularly, just because hitting so many balls, it gets affected quite harsh. So when you hit balls 3 months, the lie and loft will probably be different than it has.
We'll talk about that all the time, because if a player's hitting a lot of golf balls, and especially here in where we are, off of mats, and bad range balls, how often should they have their loft and lies checked?
Depending on how many rounds you play, obviously the higher the standard of the player, the more you should check it. But I would be looking to check if you're hitting a lot from the mats. Your average golfer, he's played a lot during winter, practiced a lot through winter. That really should be at the start of the season. He should definitely start and check that his loft and lies are correct at the beginning of the season. But a good player, you're looking once every month, once every 6 weeks, for sure. But your average club golfer, I would definitely say the start of the year and end of the year, they should be doing it at least twice.
I would fully agree with that. And I know one tour professional was always having his clubs checked every week.
Yeah,
he was hitting,
they've got the opportunity.
and they were, because it was moving so much. He's hitting off of grass, but it was moving all the time. So it's one of those things, and that's going to affect launch direction.
Yeah, definitely.
So
the day it comes down to on the golf course on the Sunday is trusting your golf ball, and it is the most important part of the golf bag. It is your golf ball. And if your golf ball, you can't trust it, you're not going to trust yourself.
Exactly right. And that's coming from you. You're on Sunday afternoon, and you're back nine. You got to trust your coach. You got to trust your physio. You got to trust your nutrition. You got to trust your training process. But there's also one other person you need to trust.
The fitter and myself, definitely.
Those two things, I think, unfortunately, I don't think that the fitters, as this guy's been around for a while, that he gets enough, not credit, but acknowledgement that, because it's not the coach that's if the equipment's not set up right.
Yeah, it's just also for the coach. When the fitting process hasn't been right, you're working on the completely wrong things, just because the club and lie angle and everything, or the shaft, they have such a big influence on the ball flight and everything. So it's important to having the trust also from a coach's perspective, and then being able to work on the right things, just because the club is on the right. The club's right.
The club's correct, so you can swing it correctly, and the ball's going to start in the right direction where you're hoping it's going to be. Yeah. So I just gotta say thank you, guys. I mean, that's to have your knowledge here, your playing ability, combining those both. We're going to see you on the bigger stages, I'm sure. I mean, you're 20 years old now, and I know for a fact, and we've seen you for a long time, that you're going to be on that next level, and especially sticking with this guy. So thank you both for being here, and
thanks,
and sharing your knowledge, sir. Always.
Guys.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you very much for joining us.